Good. That. Country boy off the block. Hey, everybody. It's Jeremy Grider, the eCommerce Redneck. I am super excited to have Hooman Khalili on my show today. I've been gone for a little bit. As y'all know, I run an agency, and so I apologize that I haven't had any guests lately for the last couple of weeks. But this one's a little different. And recently I met Hooman and in a men's group, and he's just an outstanding man that is making a social impact right now. And I just felt like, it's important sometimes to, regardless of whether or not it fits my podcast or not, to have guests on that are making a positive social impact and doing good things in the world. With that said, I'm going to tie it in at the end a little bit with our world of e-commerce, but the important thing is the freedom of these Iranian women that he is fighting for. So without further ado, I am going to have Hooman on. How are you doing, brother?
I'm great. Thanks so much, Jeremy. It's an honor to be on your show. And I heard you were saying to me before the show began, you took a couple weeks off. Everything okay with you?
Oh, yeah, just busy. Business.
Great. Well, how would you like to start the interview? Do you want me to just sort of tell you the story of how it all
began? Go ahead and kick it off. Tell us how, what is going on in your world with these murals and such, and what the whole story is behind it. Go right ahead. You have the floor.
So, when the pandemic happened, just like everyone else, I was lost and confused. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was working at a radio station for 21 years. I was on the number one morning show, a station called Alice at 97.3 in San Francisco. I stepped away from that job. I did some missions work in Uganda and South Sudan, helping the poorest people of the world.
Wow.
Ended up in Kona, Hawaii with a group of Christian missionaries, prayed with them, ended up in Germany at a Christian retreat. The whole time saying God, what's next?
Right.
Then I was connected with an artist down in LA, and this was around October of 2022. And she says, are you following what's happening in Iran? And at that point, Mahsa Amini had just been murdered. And I said, yeah, I'm following. She goes, the Western media isn't covering it. We have to do something. And I was all fired up. And I was like, yeah, we got to do something. And then she said, do you want to help me? I said, yeah, what do you need? She goes, I want us to paint murals. And I'm like, oh, I don't paint murals. And she said, well, you don't have to paint the mural. All you have to do is get me a wall. So made a phone call, art commissioner got involved, and then art commissioner is like, I don't know you, but I'm going to help you, but I get to pick the wall, I get to pick the artist, I get to pick the design.
Uh-huh.
I said, fine. The mural goes up in San Francisco, where I live, and I called the artist. I said, can we take a picture in front of the mural? She said, yes. The picture goes viral. One of the people that sees it is the vice mayor of Jerusalem.
Oh, wow.
Flora Hassan. She says, I want murals in Israel in support of the Iranian women.
Now, wait a minute. That seems like something that a lot of people maybe don't know about. There's a connection between Iran and Israel, is there not?
100%, yeah. And it is a biblical relationship. So clearly I'm a Persian Christian. And, throughout the Bible, there are moments where the Jews are in exile, uh, or there's just incredible difficulty amongst them.
Mm-hmm.
One is when the Jews are exiled to basically Iran, and they, approached Cyrus and said, "We want to go back to Israel and we want to rebuild the temple." So not only did Cyrus allow them to go back, but paid. He paid for the rebuilding of the temple.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole book of Esther, which takes place in Iran, is about a Jewish woman who's hidden amongst the society who God uses to save the Jews.
Yeah.
And then in the New Testament, when Jesus is born, Jesus is about 8 months old, maybe a year, and God says, "Okay, I'm calling upon the Magi, the Persians, to come and crown him King of Israel."
Mm-hmm.
And so the Magi came with the gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So there's at least 3 hugely significant times where God called and the Persians said yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of the 15.5 million Jews in this world, 500,000 of them are Persian Jews. They're Iranian
Wow.
Jews.
And,
And so that's 4.
see, I think too. Sorry to interrupt. People have a great misunderstanding of the Iranian people in general, Persians, I think a lot of times there's probably people that lump all of the Middle East together, you know, and the significance of the Middle East or Iran is they have had, I understand, prior to the current regime's uh, power, they have had democracy in Iran to some degree in the past. Is that correct? And a little more forward thinking of a country in a lot of ways as far as the people, correct?
Yes. I mean, pre-1979, you know, it was a lot better. Let's just say
Right,
that.
right.
Look, there's always been a king, and now it's a theocracy, which means you can elect a president, but the supreme leader is chosen by God.
Uh-huh.
And because the supreme leader is chosen by God, he can, veto anything that the president who is elected says or decides.
Wow.
So anyway, here I am, all these prayers and all these missions, and I'm like, God, what's next? What's next? And next thing I find myself in Israel sitting in Fleur Hassan's office
Wow.
trying to figure out a way to put up a mural in Israel. And I remember sitting across from her saying, "Do you have a wall?" She says, "No." "Do you have an artist I can collaborate with?" She says, "No." I said, "Am I paying for this?" She said, "Yes." So from the first one, and I've done, and you'll see all of them, but I've done 9 murals in Israel. So why don't we take a look at the first mural, and I'll
Yeah.
sort of break it down and show it to you and explain to you sort of the miracle of it.
Right. Okay.
So that's Flora on the left-hand side being interviewed by Israeli television. The mural's in the middle. I don't know if you can click on it and make it any bigger, but if you can, great. Okay, still pretty small. But those 4 women were all murdered by the Islamic regime. That mural is
Wow.
21 feet long, 15 feet wide. And those 4 women were all murdered for basically showing their hair.
Oh my God.
You have
And you showed all of their hair. I love it.
I did, and I united it. Well, the artist I worked with, she's in the top of the picture standing to my left, or to my right in the picture, but to our left here. She said to me, she goes, "Since the women were all murdered for their hair, let's unite them with their hair. Let's have them all connected by their hair."
And
So
I
that you
I
have,
have to say, I mean, and you're kind of proof of this. Persians, a lot of Persians have really great hair, man. So
Yeah.
this is a great representation, I think, likely of these women, with just gorgeous hair. So,
Exactly. So, on the left, you've got a woman named Masa Amini. Then you have a woman named Serena right underneath her. Then Fetish there. Then a woman named Nika. All four of these faces are known to every Persian in the world. And so these murals are really meant to do two things. One is they're meant to inspire the women of Iran to keep fighting. And two, they're meant to show the world that Israel is the only country in the world or in the Middle East standing with the freedom fighting women of Iran. Because there are no murals in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. So Israel's the only one. So anyway, that went up on January 9th, 2023. And when it went up, the eyes of the world came to Israel. And Israel got really, really great press. It was a huge accomplishment. It's in Jerusalem, the my city. And it's pretty simple. Why don't we go to the second mural, and I'll tell you the miracle of this. So
I blew up the page
right
there,
there.
but at least we can
Oh,
see
oh.
it better.
No, I said, am I go
Oh,
up?
second mural. Okay.
Yeah.
I got what you
That's
said.
it. Yeah. Just click on the picture on the left there. Yeah.
It's not opening that way, but we can see it here.
Right. So those 15 people were all murdered by the Islamic regime, and this one's painted. It's 30 feet long, 25 feet high, and this mural is in Nazareth.
Oh,
And the
wow.
thing that's amazing about this mural is, go to the next picture. Let me see what other pictures there are in this. Not that one. Are those the only two? Yeah, keep going. Oh yeah, click on that one, the third one there. Yeah. That's a better shot. Yeah, there we go. You can make that a little bigger. Can you make that a little bigger?
Yeah.
So there's 15 people there. We wrote all of their names and ages on that scroll there. So the little girl up front with her hair covered, she was 7. The boy standing next to her on the left, he was 9. And so this is in Nazareth. So Nazareth is in Israel, and it's 100% Arab. There is no Jews that live in Nazareth. 70% Muslim, 30% Christian. And this wall, where this mural is owned by 2 Muslim men.
Wow.
And the story goes, I was walking around Nazareth with one of my friends. We were begging. I said, am I for walls? Begging. And finally, we come across this wall here in this gigantic parking lot and go to the guys like, can we please have the mural? Can we please have the wall for a mural? The guy said, no. My buddy said, this guy who's asking you for the wall, he's in the movie Cars. I said, what? You're in the movie Cars? Because I've watched it 100 times. So I have one line in the movie Cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, what's the line though? What do you say?
I'm one of the red carpet reporters, and after Lightning McQueen finishes like his first race, and I'm one of the voices that's like, Lightning McQueen, show us the bolt to the left, to the right, over here, Lightning.
Oh, cool. That's cool. Oh, man. Yeah.
So then the guy's all of a sudden interested in talking, and he goes, what do you want to make the mural of? And I said, I want to make a mural in support of the Iranian women who are fighting for their freedom. And he was like, absolutely not. There's no way. And I said, do you have any daughters? He says, yeah, I have 3 daughters. I said, I want to tell you something. If the Islamic regime becomes in charge of the whole world, the first people they're going to kill are your daughters, because they are Shiite and you are Sunni. And the Muslim clerics dislike the Sunnis as much as they dislike the Christians and the Jews.
Oh, wow.
And his eyes got like this big, and he was like, okay, come back. And we come back in like 5 hours. We talk to him some more, and he says, "Okay, you can have the wall."
Oh, wow.
And the miracle of the story is you have a wall owned by a Muslim man, designed by a Persian Christian, painted by a Russian Jew.
Oh, wow. Yeah, man.
So there it is.
That's incredible.
Let's jump up to the 8th mural, if that's okay.
Okay.
Up the 5th. Keep going.
Let me get it back down to where I can see it. 8th, you said?
Yeah. I'll tell you when. Oh, by the way, all of these murals are on Hooman.tv.
Yeah.
That's this one here. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So, as we all know, there was a horrible massacre that happened on October 7th in Israel.
Right.
1,000 Jews lost their lives, and I really, I pray to God a lot, and when I pray, I ask for courage and strength and direction, and this is a monumental assignment. Even my atheist friends come to me and they say, "Hooman, you're doing God's work." I say, "Wow, thanks."
Yeah.
And there was a war, and there still is a war, but
Mm-hmm.
after October 7th, it was very. I said, "Am I?" And I still felt called to go to Israel. So I decided to, lean on my faith and have the courage. And I flew to Israel during the war. And when I got to Israel, I noticed a couple things because I wanted to do more murals. And I had done, up to that point, I'd done 7.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to Israel, it was a very difficult trip because, well, it wasn't very difficult, but it was a lot more complex than it should be because right now there's only one airline flying to Israel. It's El Al. All the other airlines have sort of ceased their operation. So I get to Israel, and one thing I notice is the country is entirely empty. The tourism is dried up because no one's visiting right now, and it's understandable. There are rockets every day being shot, and everyone's trying to live their lives normally, but in that atmosphere with the bombings in the north and then the rockets coming out of Gaza and these hostages still held, there's a level of tension in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was working with the Israeli government, and I had designed this mural that you see here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of significant things about this mural, but there's a few things I want to point out to you. The woman in the dead center is Masa Amini, and she's sort of the figurehead of this woman-led revolution. Next to her is a Persian Jew who was killed on October 7th. Her name is Sherelle Haimpour, and Sherelle was killed by Hamas on October 7th, and her body was burned.
Mm.
But this mural is in the city center of Jerusalem. It is on the Museum of Tolerance. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal that they gave me this prime location because I've sort of been put in the corner the last 7 murals.
Uh-huh.
And when I decided to put this in the city center, I said, in the Bible, over and over, God says, I'm going to put my throne in Jerusalem. I'm going to put my throne in Zion. I'm going to put my throne in Israel. But it's ultimately all pointing to Jerusalem.
Uh-huh.
But there's this one obscure verse, Jeremiah 49:38, where God says, I will set my throne in Elam and destroy her kings and officials, declares the Lord. Mm-hmm. That word Elam is the ancient name of Iran.
Oh, wow.
And Elam is where the whole book of Esther took place. And it's where Esther is buried, and it's where the prophet Daniel is buried.
Oh, wow.
So here, for the very first time in the history of the world, you have a piece of paper that shows you the 2 places on earth where God is going to have a throne.
Mm-hmm.
In Jeremiah 3:17, in that day, Jerusalem will be known as the throne of the Lord, and all the nations will gather in Jerusalem to honor the Lord. No more shall they follow the dictates of their stubborn, evil hearts. So what God's saying in these two verses is, my number one throne is going to be in Jerusalem,
Mm-hmm.
but my second throne is going to be in Iran. And these are the only two places on earth where God says he's going to have a throne.
Mm-hmm.
So next to Sherelle, said, am I on the left-hand side of Solomon's temple,
No, wow.
which
Yeah.
was destroyed by the Romans in 70 AD. And that's the closest thing we have to God's throne on earth. And then on the right, we have Azadi Tower next to Masa Amini, because it's kind of like the Eiffel Tower of Iran.
Okay.
So in Sherelle's face, I turned it into a mosaic, and I put all the faces of all the people, mostly the Jews, who were killed on October 7th.
Oh,
I put
wow.
all of those faces in her face. It's a mosaic. And then in Masa Amini's face, I put the faces of 1,020 Persians who were killed or put in prison by the Islamic regime.
Wow, what a beautiful way to tie those things together. I've always been an artist myself, and I love the complexity of vision and the ideas behind this, and the fact that like every one of these has so much depth and conversation to be had about it. And when you're doing things like that, that's really what you want. You want people to be able to look at it and gain information and be moved and inspired, to, again, support the Iranian women. I do see that you have on every one of these, by the way, it says women, life, freedom. And then I believe it has it what is in two other languages? I think one of those is Hebrew, and then what's the other one? Is that
That's
Farsi or
right.
something?
Yeah. So the words are woman, life, freedom, and those words are the rallying cry. So when you see those three words together, it's a mural in support of the Iranian women.
Okay.
The words are in Hebrew, Arabic, and Farsi in this mural here. Yes. And then you also see the words Esters of the world rise up, because for the first time ever, you have a woman-led revolution.
Oh man. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I would love to know how many you have that you want to be able to complete when it's all said and done. Do you have a number in mind?
I do. Yeah, I had a couple really prophetic. I had a prophetic Christian pray over me, and then I also had a Messianic Jew. So of the 15.5 million Jews in Israel, about 30,000 of them in the world, 15.5 million Jews in the world, I'd say about 35,000 of them are Messianic Jews. And
Yeah.
they are the ones who believe, Jesus is the Messiah.
Hmm.
So two of them came to me and said, we don't know what you've been praying for, but God told us to tell you the number 18.
Hmm.
So after I got this mural up, I was so excited that I wanted to pray. And here I am in Jerusalem, the holy city, the city of gold, the eternal city. And in my mind, the holiest place in Israel is the Garden of Gethsemane. For those of
Okay.
you who don't know what that is, it's where Jesus prayed right before he went to the cross. And in the Bible, it says he prayed so hard, so stressfully, that he sweated drops of blood. I said, because the country's empty and because it's time of war, I show up to the Garden of Gethsemane, and I've never been to the Garden of Gethsemane where there's less than 750 or 1,000 people, and you are scrunched in like sardines. I mean, it is so tight in there.
Hmm.
And I walk in, and I am the only one at the Garden of Gethsemane. I'm the only one.
Yeah.
Now, in the either the Catholics or the Greek Orthodox have built a church everywhere that's mentioned in the Bible where Jesus did something.
Right.
So if you go to the Sea of Galilee, there's a church. I said, am I built on the spot where they think Jesus performed the miracle of turning 2 fish and 5 loaves into the ability to feed 15,000 people?
Right.
And that church there, right on the water, is called the Church of Multiplication.
I like it.
So, I'm just letting where Jesus did the Sermon on the Mount, there is a church there as well. It's called the
Okay.
Church of the Beatitude. So here I am at the Garden of Gethsemane, and I'm the only one in there. And in the center of the Garden of Gethsemane is these 8 olive trees, which the Catholic Church claims have been there for 2,000 years, which means they were there when Jesus prayed. And they're fenced off.
Mm-hmm.
And I found the head monk, the Father Superior, and I said to him, "Is there any chance you'll open up this fence so I can pray among the trees?" And he said, "Absolutely. You're the only one. Go pro."
Wow, what
So
an
there I am.
opportunity.
I know. And, I've already been to Israel 15 times before that, and I've never seen anybody pray amongst the trees. So I kneel, I pour my heart out to Jesus, and I'm like, God, these 8 murals are from you. And I just had 1 hour in the center of the Garden of Gethsemane alone with God, just thankful for this opportunity, thankful for this moment, and thankful that, I was chosen for such a time as this. I was chosen for this assignment. And then you leave there and you're sort of on a high. So where the Garden of Gethsemane is sort of in the valley, and then you can hike up for about 20 minutes and you get to the Mount of Olives. So there I am right after the Garden of Gethsemane at the Mount of Olives, praying with my hands extended, looking at the Temple Mount where Solomon's temple used to stand, and just once again praying. And so it was just it was a really remarkable day to get that 8th mural up. So you were asking, how many murals do I want? I want 18 murals. I want 18 murals in Israel. And right now I've completed 9 murals in Israel. So let me just show that last
Yeah.
mural real quick, if we could. I said, am I
Which one? Ninth?
all right? So yeah, scroll, yeah, up. Yeah, that one right there.
This
Wait,
one?
that's is that it? No, next one. This one here. Yeah.
Okay.
Scroll up a little
Okay.
bit more.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Great. No. Yeah. Right there. That's right there. So in this mural, you really have 5 elements here.
Okay.
In the far left, you have a map of Iran, and in that map of Iran, I showed you exactly where Elam is, and then
Okay.
above it in Hebrew, I wrote Jeremiah 49:38. Next to that is Queen Esther. So Queen Esther is dressed in traditional Zoroastrian clothing for the time. She's holding a pomegranate and water lily, and the water lily is the flower of Iran.
Oh, okay.
Next to her, you have a woman named Kosar. This woman won the silver medal for Iran in archery, and she protested. And when she protested, the government shot out one of her eyes.
Mm.
A little gun so she can no longer do archery. So I put her riding a lion with a bow and arrow. I said, "Am I her hand to show her strength and her courage?" Next to her, you've got Sharel Haimpour, the Persian Jew who was killed by Hamas on October 7th. And then we created that symbol of the hand of Israel and the hand of Iran making a heart shape together. And the reason that's there is to remind the world that the Persians have been the friends of the Jews for 3,000 years, and they've only been enemies for less than 50.
Mm.
And then, because it was just International Women's Day, I said, I, by the grace of God, unveiled a mural in Berkley, California. And I just sent you the pictures for that.
Okay.
So can you pull up those pictures real quick?
Yeah, I can. Give me one quick second.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So here
got
on
it up.
this mural, you've got half. You've got half the picture here, and so on this part of the mural, you've got Massa Amini, Sharel, and a woman named Hananeh Kia. Hananeh was she's a Persian woman, and she was killed 2 weeks before her wedding.
Oh my
And
God.
so the Persians have a nickname for her. They call her the Bride of Iran. And
Mm,
so you've got the three women in the left-hand corner of the mural. You've got the three symbols, which are a woman riding a lion with a sword in her hand, because the first woman-led revolution. In the center, you have the Lion of Judah outside the Temple Mount, and then you have the original Zoroastrian symbol of Iran, which is a lion holding a sword with the sun rising at its back.
mm,
And one of my most favorite proverbs, and probably the very best verse in the Bible that really honors women, is
mhm,
Proverbs 31:25. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she can laugh at the days to come.
mm.
Go to the next picture. Uh,
Hold on. Let me. Not sure what happened. This one?
yeah. So this is the other side of the mural, and here you created the Mount Rushmore of Iranian artists who
Mhm.
have been standing with the freedom fighting movement of Iran. And so these men are either in prison or murdered.
Mm.
And if you look at the entire, go to the next picture if you wouldn't mind. You can see the entire mural itself. But here, what you have is the whole mural on the wall. The background is the Sea of Galilee. You've got the Mount Rushmore of men, you've got the three women prominently displayed, and then you've got this
Right.
guy in the right-hand corner. His name is Mohammed. And Mohammed was hung by the Islamic regime 42 days ago.
Oh,
And he
wow.
was hung for walking with the women of Iran, for standing with the women of Iran.
Jeez.
And his mom went on social media 2 hours before he was hung and begged the world for somebody to save her son. And all
Oh.
of us were help. I said, am I going to do anything? And he ended up being hung. So I wanted to remember him.
Mm.
Every day, there's three people hung in Iran for this war that's happening against women. And the whole point of these murals is to give a voice to the voiceless. So I wanted to give Mohammed a voice. I didn't want him to be forgotten.
Hmm.
So this is the latest mural. I want to get back to Israel in April. I've been funding all of these myself. I've been funding all these murals myself.
Mhm.
And so, just like everybody else, I have a GoFundMe. And but
Right.
if you want to contribute, you can go to Hooman HOOMAN.TV. Obviously, anything helps. Each mural
Yeah.
costs about 10 grand, and I've done 9, so you can sort of do the math. And I want to be able to do 18.
And
So that's sort of where I'm at.
I would definitely say, guys, I had Human on here, um, simply because, I'm in a group with about, I guess, 800 other men, and Human is one of them. But over the last couple of weeks, just hearing his story, hearing his message, touched my heart. Um, I have several friends that are Persian and of Iranian descent. Some of them were born there, like Human, and what I really want to urge people to do is, if you have the capacity to help. I mean, I know there's people in my network that could pay for an entire one of these murals, and I would just say consider it, because this is making an impact. In fact, Iran had a response, I believe, with a mural to one of your murals. Is that correct?
Yeah, so after I did my 4th mural in Israel, the Islamic regime created their own murals.
Hmm.
They created a mural of an atomic bomb. And on the atomic bomb, they wrote in Hebrew, 400 seconds to Tel Aviv.
Mm.
So Iran is, every day they're wishing death upon Israel. They fund Hamas, they fund Hezbollah, they fund ISIS, and they fund the Houthis.
Right.
So what I'm telling you is if we can stabilize Iran, we've stabilized the whole Middle East, and that stabilization is only going to happen from within.
Yeah.
So I'm just hopeful that somehow, some way, the Persian people will be able to rise up and destroy the Islamic regime of Iran.
Right. Because it's not representing who they are as a people. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean how frustrating to not be able to speak out, to be silenced. And, to me, like, I told you before, as you can tell, I have Martin Luther King Jr. behind me, and he was a significant influence in my life. The first chapter book I ever read was about him. But, it sparked an interest in civil rights. And this is one of the greatest civil rights uh, issues and fights in our lifetimes. This changes the whole world. If this happens, the whole world changes. You have so many people in Iran that are blocked off from the Western world. And, I've even talked to people in e-commerce and heard, and this is me tying it into e-commerce, but it would open up like, with, I believe it's 87 million people. It would open up a whole new market, and would change the economy of the world, So, this is a benefit in so many ways to the rest of the world because, the Persian people are amazing people. They historically have done so much for culture and advancement of technologies. And, I mean, it's an incredible group of people, very diverse and beautiful. And, you know, I love what you're doing, Human. I
Thanks,
love what
man.
you're doing, and I hope that one of my friends or somebody that's listening to this will do exactly what we said and sponsor a whole mural. It can be done, and people, these are making an impact. These are changing hearts and minds, and we want it to keep moving that way.
Yeah, I would love that. And if you want to give a bigger contribution, there is a 501c3 that the money can pass through and get to
Okay.
me. That's huge work in Iran. So
Hmm.
I don't know, Jeremy. I'm on LinkedIn. It's Hooman Khalili. But you can find me. Drop me a note. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I would love to hear from all of you.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on the show. I think everybody really is going to love this one. Such a great message. Uma, from the bottom of my heart, this is one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. And mostly because it's around helping people on the other side of the world that really at this moment need it. They need our prayers, they need our support. So. But thank you, and we will
Thanks,
hopefully
brother. Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's an honor.
yeah, let's have you back on when they're all done and celebrate, man. All
100%.
right, we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
Watching the e-commerce redneck show. We're so excited to bring this to you, hopefully giving you lots of good information about e-commerce as it relates to you. If you're interested in working with me, simply go to carconsultant.com and schedule a preliminary call for us to evaluate your interests and see how we can help. I look forward to doing many more episodes, hopefully being a staple in your LinkedIn and YouTube feed. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Sherman County came with a little bit of down home. Lots of lime with a splash of some coffee, knowing what I'm talking about. Little lights are coming to you, okay? Red River soil,
Thank you.
call it a hot name. Oh, come on home. A little peacock farm going deep and red clay.